Welcome to Rights of the Free People, a program of the Rhode Island affiliate of the American Civil Liberties Union. My name is Dan Weissman. I'm a volunteer at the ACLU, and this is our once or twice a year on location, off studio program. We're currently at the Westin Hotel outside one of the ballrooms and getting ready for the annual meeting of the ACLU, celebrating mostly our victories, our accomplishments in 2016-2017. As you look at the proceedings, in particular, look for a woman named Ada Morales. She has a compelling story to tell that's instructive for all of us. So take a look at the events of the evening, and I'll be back with you on the other side.
Finally, Steve Brown will discuss the settlement of an important and timely case involving a U.S. citizen who was twice held on an ICE detainer. He is joined by our plaintiff, Ada Morales. Ada's remarks will be translated by our policy associate, Marcella Bettencourt.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ada Morales.
Good evening. My name is Ada Morales.
La razón de que estoy aquí es para contarles una historia muy triste, pero al mismo tiempo buena porque podemos presentarnos, ¿verdad?, para pelear nuestros derechos.
I'm here today to tell you about a very sad story, but at the same time a happy one since it was able to defend my rights.
En el 2009 estaba yo en la yarda de mi casa jugando con mi niña cuando aparece un state police y pregunta.
In 2009, I was playing in my yard with my daughter when a state police officer came into my home.
Pregunta por Ada Morales y yo le digo, yo soy.
They asked for Ada Morales and I said, that is me.
Y yo digo, ¿y ahora qué yo hice?
What did I do?
Me dijo, te voy a dar la oportunidad de que entres con tu niño a tu casa.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to go into your home with your son.
Y después me tienes que acompañar a la estación de policía.
And then you'll have to come with me to the police station.
Fue muy duro porque esta era, o sea, mi primera vez que yo iba prácticamente arrestada porque me engrietó. Yo dije, me llevó a la estación de policía, me tomaron huellas y muchas fotos.
This was very hard for me. It was the first time in my life that I was arrested. I was handcuffed. I was taken to the station. I was fingerprinted.
Lo hicieron muchas veces.
They also interviewed me. They interrogated me several times.
Hasta una alta hora de la noche que me dijeron, te tenemos que llevar al NCI.
Until really late at night after they informed me that they had to take me to the ACI.
Porque no hay ningún juez que te presente porque es un fin de semana.
Because since it was a weekend, they couldn't take me in front of a judge.
Y ahí fue donde comenzó lo dramático para mí.
And that's when the trauma started for me.
Porque fui llevada al NCI.
I was taken to the ACI.
Me pusieron en una celda.
They took me into a cell.
Fue una experiencia muy dura.
It was a very difficult experience.
Porque no me dieron la oportunidad de hablar con mi familia que estaba detenida.
They didn't give me the opportunity to tell my family that I was being detained.
Pedí varias veces que me dieran una llamada, no lo hicieron.
I asked several times for them to let me make a phone call, and they didn't let me do so.
Fue muy duro, pero el día lunes pasé todo el fin de semana.
I spent all weekend in jail.
El día lunes me llevan a la corte de familia.
On Monday, they took me to the family court
Enfrente del juez.
in front of the judge.
Ahí estaba toda mi familia
My whole family was there.
con todos mis documentos.
They had all of my documents.
Los presentaron. Perdón.
Excuse me.
Y está bien, gracias. El juez dijo que no tenía nada contra mí, que podía estar libre, pero que estaba en manos de migración.
The judge said that he didn't have anything against me, but that I was in the hands of immigration officials.
Le dije por qué, si yo soy ciudadana americana,
I asked him why I'm an American citizen.
y no les importó,
They didn't care.
viendo que estaba toda mi familia con los documentos en mano.
Even though my whole family was there with documents there to prove it.
Me regresaron injustamente al NCI,
They took me back to the ACI,
y allá fue donde comenzó lo dramático de este caso,
and that's where the most dramatic parts of this case happened.
porque fui regresada y ya me trasladaron a una celda donde dijeron que iba a estar permanente para mi deportación.
They took me into a cell where they said I would be permanently until I was deported.
Fue muy duro para mí porque me humillaron trágicamente.
They humiliated me,
Pero ya el siguiente día mi familia fueron donde el abogado
the next day my family went to a lawyer,
y migración se dio cuenta que habían cometido un error.
and immigration realized they had made a mistake.
Me fueron a traer al NCI,
They went to pick me up at the ACI,
me llevaron al departamento de migración,
took me to the immigration department.
me dijeron I'm sorry por lo que pasó,
They asked for forgiveness for what happened,
y me dejaron que me fuera.
and they just let me go.
Y bueno, yo primero doy gracias a Dios,
I'm very thankful to God.
gracias a toda la organización de ACLU que me ayudaron,
I'm very thankful to the ACLU for helping me.
pero antes de yo conocer a ACLU, yo había ido a un abogado a unos meses atrás,
Months before I came to the ACLU, I went to a lawyer.
me recomendó que ellos eran los únicos que me podían ayudar a mí en este caso de discriminación,
And they recommended to reach out to the ACLU since they could help me with this discrimination case.
y me siento pues agradecida con todo el grupo, todos los que trabajaron, todas las organizaciones que estuvieron presentes.
I'm very thankful to the entire team that worked on this and all of the organizations that were part of it.
Gracias a Dios, a todos ellos, yo puedo estar ahora libre aquí parada hablando frente a este público presente.
Thanks to them and to God, I'm here in front of you today telling you my story.
Es una historia muy triste, pero al mismo tiempo es una historia buena porque podemos identificarnos y saber que nosotros también tenemos nuestros derechos.
While it's a very sad story, it's also a positive story since we are now able to identify ourselves and know that we have rights.
Y gracias a todos, y esta podía ser una historia muy grande, pero no es fácil para mí.
Thank you for listening. This could be a much longer story, but it's not very easy for me to speak about it.
Es muy duro, y gracias a todos y buenas noches y presente.
And thank you all.
Well, I think it's harder to think of a more relevant lawsuit in these times than this one. Immigration is the issue of the year, and I think in a lot of ways Ms. Morales' case highlights what is at stake. We all know about the things that are going on with the DACA recipients and many others. We're getting an idea of how awful the ICE process is, how immigration officials work, but what Ada's story tells us is not only how awful it is, but it's awful even if you're a citizen of this country, that you don't have the protection, particularly, I think it's fair to say, if you're of a certain color or ethnicity or speak a certain language. It's hard for me to imagine the scenario that she's just talked to you about. I mean, this is a person who was thrown into prison, strip searched, taunted by guards and inmates as being an illegal alien. All the time she's there, she's protesting her innocence, trying to get somebody to believe her. It's like the beginning of an Alfred Hitchcock movie. It's really incredible to think about, but that is what happened. Now, how did that happen? You need to understand what a detainer is, which is something that she mentioned. A detainer is what locked her up for this period of time. And a detainer is a piece of paper that ICE has that a bureaucrat of ICE signs and submits to the Department of Corrections or some other state official, either asking or telling that state official. ICE changes its position on what it's doing depending on what's at issue, but telling them to hold a person for up to 48 hours so that they can investigate them. During the discovery that went on in Ada's case, our attorneys deposed the former field director of ICE's regional office in Boston. And I'm going to give you a quote in response to a question he was asked. And the quote was, he said, "An ICE agent does not have to make a determination that a person is in the country illegally before issuing a detainer." Think about that. Think about that. That was ICE's position. They did not actually have to make a determination that the person was here illegally before telling people to hold that person in prison for up to 48 hours. Ada's case could have been very easily corrected if the ICE agents, when they first dealt with her, had simply bothered to run her Social Security number. They didn't do that. All they were relying on was, we believe, as best as we can tell, her name, the fact that she acknowledged that she was born in another country, and their inability to find her name in an immigration database. That is essentially what led her to stay at the ACI for a few days. Now, this lawsuit had some great results. She received some modest but well-deserved monetary compensation for what happened to her. But more importantly, from her perspective and from ours, we obtained 3 court decisions, both at the district court level and at the federal appeals court level, that condemned and criticized as unconstitutional what both ICE had done and what the state had done in abiding by ICE's request or order or whatever it was. And these decisions, this was one of the first cases in the country that came to this conclusion about the unconstitutionality of this ICE detainer process. And these court decisions that emanated from Ada's case have been cited now in dozens of judicial opinions across the country where similar civil rights suits are being brought. Even while the case was pending, there were changes. The state acknowledged the problem with accepting these ICE detainers. And back in 2014, while the case was still pending, the Department of Corrections adopted a new policy saying that they would no longer acknowledge these detainers unless they were accompanied by a judicial order. Even as Attorney General Jeff Sessions continues to badger states and municipalities to accept these orders, courts across the country, and most, I'm happy to say, most state and local officials recognize the impropriety and unconstitutionality of that. And that leads to my final point, and that is, from the beginning, Ada made very clear she was not interested in money. She wanted to make sure this would not happen to anybody else again. Now, it took 8 years to get there. This happened in 2009, and we finally settled the case just a few months ago. She had to spend a lot of time with attorneys. She was deposed by the attorneys on the other side, and there were plenty of them, I can tell you that. What I did is I printed out, this is the court docket for Ada's case just from the district court level. This isn't the appeals court. It's 39 pages. There are 231 court entries, and the first 9 pages consist of the names of the attorneys who were involved in the case. So I think that just gives an idea of how strenuous the defendants in this case tried to keep this case from coming to a favorable conclusion, although at the end, even the Trump administration had to acknowledge that they had no way to win this case. So this is not just about the ACLU winning such an important case, which we did. We were only able to do it because somebody like Ada was willing to make sacrifices on her own to allow us to do that. As much as we would like to, the ACLU can't just run into court to right wrongs. We need to represent people who are actually directly harmed by government actions and who are willing to fight for their rights, sometimes, as in a case like this, at a great emotional cost. So when we celebrate victories like this one, and we definitely should be celebrating it, we should be celebrating all the other victories that you can read in our program book, I think it's very important for us to also remember to celebrate the plaintiffs like Ada who make victories like this possible. Thank you.
So I'm not sure if anybody jotted down some questions. You have any questions? Maybe we can take some hands. I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
How is the state of Rhode Island going to avoid huge penalties because of the death penalty?
There's two different kinds of penalties. One would be whatever the court imposes, which, we're mostly seeking affirmative relief for our food stamp recipients and not penalties per se. But the feds are also keep threatening to do things, and what the feds are threatening to do is not helpful for food stamp applicants because they threaten to cut off the program or to charge back the cost to the state, which makes the state, have less money that it has to spend. But, they're getting it from both sides. But the federal government, seems to make a lot of noise about what they want and to put more time limits on, but I don't know if they've ever cut off a program. What I was telling you about the reporting getting all messed up, that they can't even figure out how to give us reports. Steve put that in the press release, but the state has not publicly acknowledged that, and as far as I know, in any of the reporting. They keep going to the General Assembly. They go in and they say, oh, here's what we're doing, and we've eliminated the backlog, and we've done all these things. And every time they do one thing here, it seems to undo something somewhere else. And I don't know, why they have so many systems problems, but, the most recent one that they had, it seemed from outside the system that they said, oh, we can make this better, we can make this faster, let's fix this. And they did another one of these abrupt changes, which wound up causing them to misplace hundreds of, electronically misplace hundreds of applications. So they didn't process them at all until they found them again. So, it's just like, how many times are they going to repeat, the same thing they did before? And that's only with the food stamps program. There's a whole bunch of other programs that don't have these stringent timelines that also have requirements that are really devastating. You know, the agencies that provide care and need reimbursements are all part of it, and other agencies, the Medicaid, and then food stamp recertification that are also screwed up by, this is totally a disaster. So we focus on SNAP because that's a point where the federal government has been clear on what the requirements are, but by keeping the pressure on that one, hopefully it will have effects on the other ones as well.
Maybe anyone else has any questions, want to raise your hand regarding the cases, or do you have something, Rand? No. I heard it.
To Ada, what a courageous woman. I hope you found the program as encouraging in these particularly trying days as I did. If any of the issues we covered tonight, or discussed tonight, are of concern or interest to you, give the affiliate a call and get involved. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Cut. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.